I have emerged from the rock that I have been living under for the last 4 years in order to challenge the Kingdom Hearts 3 data battles for the very first time. And we're not going to be doing this on baby mode. No. This is going to be on critical mode. And I can actually safely say that I have never been so close to a mental breakdown in my entire life. And for both my physical and mental well-being, I will never, ever, for the remainder of my time on this planet, be attempting this again. But I did really enjoy it. The first thing I did was ask the internet, which was the easiest one, and they said it was Bono. If this is the easiest fight, I have the same IQ as Neil deGrasse Tyson. So, as I'm sure we all know, Luxord is an aspiring magician, and when I say that, I don't mean like David Blaine, oh my god, this guy has just blown my mind, magician. What I actually mean is, don't you bull me, I know that all 3 of those cups are empty and the ball that I'm supposed to be finding is actually up your... Although the first 10 deaths were just sheer panic and confusion, I eventually clicked onto the fact that his moveset is actually quite basic, although there is one move that I literally did not manage to dodge one singular time, and he spams that shit like Tetsuya Nomura spams anime grunts in his games. It's one of the fights that has a gimmick factor in that amongst fighting a guy that uses a deck of cards as a weapon, you also have a time gauge. Sora has a health bar as well here, but Bono doesn't, and you win the fight when his time gauge is empty. And if you lose any of the dumb games that he makes you play, you will lose a chunk of that time bar more significant than the absence of a father in the life of an OnlyFans model. He will eventually completely lose his mind and send you directly to the Shadow Realm. I'm pretty sure there's only supposed to be 52 cards in a deck, man. He's not even following the rules anymore. That is excluding the Joker, of course, but it looks like the only Joker here is me, who attempted this fight 4 million times. I honestly couldn't explain how this works. Google said that I had to find the Luxord card 3 times, and even after doing that, I still got smacked around harder than that, you know, that kitchen in the Tobey Maguire movie where he just starts smashing everything to bits. Only this time, the cupboard is me. Luckily, I just managed to cockroach myself through it and got back to the main bit where I rolled a 20 on the luck check and just torched his ass to death. With one fight down, it was on to the next, what, 12? I think I died like 30 times to this fight, somewhere near there anyway. With quite literally zero knowledge on who was hard and who was semi-hard. I wound up walking into what I didn't realize would be the fisting of a lifetime. This little prick. Fighting Dark Riku was what I can only imagine it felt like to be in the ring with Prime Mike Tyson. Just a constant feeling of regret and praying that you can at the very least make it to the other side with minimal brain damage. In 30 attempts, yes, you heard that correctly, in 30 attempts, I learned 2 things. The first thing was that if you shoot magic at him, he'll teleport towards you. If you block, retaliate, block the reflect, and then dodge or block again, this will guarantee you a punish window, which is fantastic news, right? This is great. It's progression. Maybe you can use this to get through the rest of the fight. As soon as he does this, I'm unstoppable! You are fucked, mate. I honestly thought at this point that I should just call it off. This was boss 2 of 13, and I was already losing my mind. But if this was how it was going to be, I was going to do some real preparation and come back fresh. And I watched a breakdown video of this dude's entire moveset, and listen, call it cheating if you will, but I was about 2 attempts away from having an actual genuine aneurysm. After watching the video, I learned that during his like super mega chop your dick off move, he'll do some like dash attacks followed by a downward strike. He'll do this 3 times, and after that, he'll do what I can really only describe as explosions and lightning, because that's, you know, that's what it is. And then from there, you get to celebrate, right? Because you've survived, you know, well done. I survived! By attempt number 35, Dark Riku's entire moveset had been securely branded onto the front of my brain. And if you don't believe me, maybe you can explain to my therapist why I keep waking up in the middle of the night having nightmares about this guy covered in sweat and piss. Explain that. And then there was obviously the red attacks, which, as I'm sure you can tell from my gameplay, I at this point had no idea that those things are completely unblockable. Between that and the moves that I think were simply just too fast for the human eye to comprehend. Like, my eyes couldn't send signals to my brain fast enough to tell me what he was doing. It was fucked. I actually started to believe it was going somewhere, which is cool, right? It took me a couple more attempts, but I did get it done, which is great because it went from feeling like it was completely impossible to being entirely attainable, which got the ball rolling for the rest of the run. 2 down, 11 to go. Fuck you, Dark Riku.
Over here.
Next up was Xigbar, who the internet also said was easy, and it's just a straight up lie, mate. This guy thought it'd be cool to bring guns to the anime game, which we all know just isn't cool. Like cards, I'll make an exception for, because they've got a style factor, but your guns have no place here, man. Keys, novelty-sized clubs, and lightsabers only, please. Thank you. Believe it or not, this fight involves a metric fuck-ton of him being stood a real long distance away from you. Most of the time, you're honestly better off just waiting until he comes to you or gets bored and changes the entire arena. I would literally have to get in the gummy ship just to be able to get to this guy, and there is no way that Dolan would let me pilot that thing alone. You have to block so much in this fight, I now have an actual square button imprint in my thumb. You don't really dictate when you get to attack here. Like, you can talk to me about punish windows all you want, but Xigbar decides his own fate here, and there is nothing you can say to change my mind. This dude has teleportation and portals. This fight is a lot like what I imagine it's like to play The Binding of Isaac. You need as many eyeballs as that fucked up squirrel from the Simpsons movie to track where all the bullets and shit are going. By far his worst move here is the Star Scourge Radahn arrows from the heavens move, which he does a couple of times, and if you get caught in it, good luck getting the fuck out. You have got about as much chance of getting out of this move as I do at getting out of bed in the morning and not hating myself. There's a really cool reaction-based section of the fight. I'm not sure if I like it because it's some classic Kingdom Hearts cinematic business or because it actually gives you a chance to have some input in the fight. After a while, he'll put you on the smallest circle platform you've ever seen while unleashing a North Korea missile barrage from above. I got weirdly good at avoiding this, to be honest. You know the fight's coming to a close when the arena loops back to the one that you first started in. It's basically a rinse and repeat at this point. Just don't let the pressure get to you and you should be good. It took around 30 attempts to get rid of Dick Bar, and I took great pride in watching the light leave his eyes. 3 down, 10 to go. Terra Nort. Terra is the reason that I sleep in a sensory deprivation tank so the demons can't get me. For me personally, he was the proverbial cliff that I had to yeet myself off of into what I believed the rest of these fights were going to be. This is the fight which I learned about how red attacks are unblockable, and this guy fucking loves them. He has a move which is officially named Ars Solemn, which I aptly renamed Block All You Want, motherfucker, but you better have a full MP bar because you are definitely going to need it. This is a Bruce Lee level combo with what seems like 100 swings of his Keyblade when you're in the midst of things, but now I'm watching it back, I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I only actually managed to punish this one time out of the, like, billion times that he did it. He also has a Cum Guardian, which is equal in fairness to me fighting Brock Lesnar in real life. At first, the Cum Guardian seems like the most unpredictable thing ever, other than this bit. With a well-timed block, he honestly proved to be a breath of fresh air in what was otherwise a complete clusterfuck of a fight. I adapted to this fight noticeably faster than the previous altercations. Kind of like Riley Reid, I was more comfortable with the fact that I was going to be getting it pretty rough, but once we got going, it would get easier. It took me what I think was like 25 attempts, which, you know, for a hard fight like this is a massive improvement from the 10,000 attempts it took to kill Riku. 4 down, 9 to go.
Oh! Oh, this is the thing! Oh my god! God, on the fucking punish window, the one and only time. Ooh, I'm touching myself tonight.
Next up was what I thought was the sickest fight out of all of them, and if you're about to tell me that you disagree because you think that mid-air anime battles that are too fast to comprehend what's going on with a dude that dual wields lightsabers, you have got a problem. My initial strategy for this was, please, for the love of God, someone help me! I used that for the first few attempts and then tried to actually watch what was going on. It's borderline impossible. I do not believe it can be done, but if you rely purely on muscle memory, you can squeeze through it. Xemnas uses the nobody come streams, and if you can dodge around them, you get a punish window. In the first 20 attempts, I managed to do this one time because you basically have to be able to see through time and space in order to pull it off. Of all the bosses, I would definitely say that I learned Xemnas' moveset the most, and mate, punish windows just fall out of the guy. I had to take pre-workout just to be able to keep up with the speeds that this freak operates at, but you know, it's definitely doable. So it kind of works in 3 phases. Phase 1 is like straight up hand to hand with a little bit of bullshit thrown in there. Phase 2 is like imagine every stormtrooper that ever existed ever had 100% accuracy and were all firing all at once. And then phase 3 is basically a scam. It's like phase 1 but with added bullshittery. Nonetheless, we are gaming, man. That is 5 down and 8 to go. And just on a little side note, if I had to one organization member, it would definitely be Xemnas, man. I mean, just... Marluxia kind of reminds me of a vegan that makes his own drum and bass and eats his own toenails whilst taking pictures of mushrooms. He loves unblockable attacks almost as much as he loves his Birkenstocks, but these ones are either far more predictable or maybe I'm just getting better at the game, I don't know. The thing I appreciate about this fight the most was that he starts with the same move every time, which meant that I became very familiar with it. So that whenever he uses it at 500 miles per hour throughout the entire fight, I was kinda ready for it. He does unfortunately have an armoured portion where he is about as poised as a Kingsguard while they shout at old ladies. Hands off the way! I just relied on the Ultima Weapons Keyblade transformation finisher to iframe through it. There's a counter above your head here which will go down whenever it hits you. If it hits 0, you will die, but if you've got a good chunk of it left when you get rid of his armour, you can just bully him until it gets low enough to hit the spell. I didn't find the fight difficult at all really until what I'm going to name the Divide. Most of these bosses have like a salty last-ditch effort to try and snake their way to survival, but this dude by far is the worst. When he hits 1 HP, he will turn into a scythe and just fly around like Barry fucking Allen. You have a timer again here. This time it starts at 99, but I'm going to be honest, man, it does not matter. Google said to just either spam magic or shotlock when he gets into the middle of the arena, but... Good luck, man. He is never there. I died like 55 times to this fight, mainly due to bullshit, or maybe it's just been me slightly dumb, but we'll blame it on the bullshit for now. Regardless, the vegan is gone. Stop ruining sausage rolls for the rest of us, dude. We like them. 6 down, 7 to go. Whoa! Sorry for interrupting the video that you are very clearly enjoying. I'm just here to tell you that people have been talking all kinds of shit about you behind your back, saying that you don't have the guts to subscribe to this channel. Well, I am here to tell you that they are wrong. However, should you choose not to, Xemnas will be visiting you in your sleep tonight. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the video. I decided to go for Vanitas next so that I could get the bingo for that row. I went into this fight in a foul mindset due to previously having to deal with Marluxia's saucy little ass. After a few tries, I made the conscious decision to take a break, and when I got back, it felt like Master Yoda had forced me into a meditation session. I must have activated some crazy genome that hasn't been accessed by the human mind yet or some shit, because I went back there and smashed this dude harder than the banging that I hear from my neighbour's bedroom wall at 3 in the morning. Vanitas seems to be one of the more squishy opponents, other than young Xehanort, man. That dude is like a sponge that's been sat in a bucket of water outside for a week. In a game full of edgy anime guys, Vanitas shines through as the edgiest, anime-ist guy. In fact, from this point forth, he shall only be known as the Edgelord 3000. He's got one of the most predictable yet stylish movesets out of all these fights, apart from the one where he rides the Keyblades, man. That move can die in a fire. The Edgelord 3000 didn't even get a chance to do his desperation attack. I killed him that fast, so on we go, I guess. 7 down, 6 to go. Speaking of sponges sat in buckets of water, the next guy we're going to fight we'll just describe as definitely not a top. Not that bad as far as the moveset goes, and a lot of this guy's punish windows are very clearly marked out by the chunk of ice that he shits out when he attacks you. There is one move, however, that made me want to dig my own eyeballs out with a shovel, which is this one. He'll jizz out a bunch of ice shards around him that will subsequently hurtle towards you at 4 miles an hour. Should one singular icicle make contact with your body, you will freeze to death like those crazy hippie people that jump in the glacial waters for fun. Like, how can you enjoy your testicles being that far inside yourself? There's a dodge punish window if you can get the timing right, which I only managed to pull off like 1 time. His super desperation move isn't that bad to deal with. I don't know if it helped, but I spammed thunder, and every time I did, it seemed to go way smoother. This was potentially one of the most intense fights, because right when he was 1 hit away from total and utter destruction, he went into his, like, armored move, which, as you can see, caused a great panic. I actually had to pause the game, put down my controller, and take a 5-minute walk. I don't think my heart has ever beaten that fast before, man. I was almost on the phone to the emergency services. It were rough. 8 down, 5 to go. I'm coming for you, Xehanort. Saix, you hideous, nasty man. I hate you so much. I nearly lost my mind fighting this guy. It got to the point where even my dog was looking at me like, dude, you gotta fucking kill this guy, man. I can see your mental decline right in front of my eyes. You don't look great. Him and his elf ears can get in the bin. He sucks. I must have died like 90 times to this absolute waste of semen. He's got about 40,000 different moves, right? You can see 3 of them. So he's going to throw his caveman club at you a lot. Don't worry though, because if he does hit you, which it will, it's going to knock every brain cell Sora has directly out of his head for what feels like about 5 years, man. He's just going to wobble like he's losing in a WWE game, which will leave you open for this.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
I don't even smoke, but I needed a nicotine injection directly to the brain after this one, man. I'm going to go out there and say that Saix is potentially the most difficult fight so far. I haven't fought YOZORA yet, but I'm 90% sure that he can't be more difficult than this. Watching this guy dissolve into pure nothingness provided me with the best night's sleep I've had since I had that dream about licking Margot Robbie's feet. 9 down, 4 to go. I can smell Xehanort, man. I can smell him. I must be living my worst nightmare, man, because it's starting to look like I'm at a gender reveal party with all this pink. Larxene. Firstly, I felt really bad throughout the entirety of this fight because she looks like a kid, man. I mean, I know that Sora's like 16, but there is no way on planet Earth that this girl is any older than 12. It took a while, but once I was over it, I quickly came to realize that although she's super flashy and intimidating due to the constant barrage of Kaminari level zaps, she isn't that difficult. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's an easy fight. None of these were easy. There was still a part of me that wanted to fold my own scrotum over the top of my head like a frontwards cape and just glide straight off the edge of a cliff, but you get my drift. The most painful part is her desperation move, for sure. Although it looks like she's moving at the speed of light, do not be fooled by it. This move had a runtime only comparable to that of Titanic, and I don't even get to see her drown. 10 down. Ooh, we're in double digits now, boy. 3 to go. Next up was, in my experience, the easiest boss out of all of them, and a little bit like me trying to tie my shoes every day, it took like 5 attempts. It kind of felt like it was a poor effort from Ansem, and as cool and as powerful as his magic may be, he does just kind of stand there with his arms crossed, expecting not to get slapped by the key. I just kind of felt as though I was putting in most of the effort, and a little bit of reciprocation would have gone a long way. I did switch the counter attack I was using for this one specifically for this attack. The time it takes to use makes it perfect for not getting Resident Evil'd by his lasers of death. I think Ansem might be the only guy with a punish window smack bang in the middle of his desperation attack. And I'll tell you what I really wasn't happy about. The noises that his balls make. I mean, it made me very uncomfortable, man. Listen to this. Awful. I know I said Xemnas is riddled with punish windows, but I think that Ansem actually takes the top spot. Ansem is the sort of guy to drop the soap in the prison shower completely on purpose. I think he just enjoys being vulnerable. And then he just stand there with his arms crossed, pretending he doesn't care while he takes constant back shots from behind. All in all, I did really enjoy this fight. It looked great, it felt great, and that is 11 down and 2 to go. And it is apparently the 2 hardest fights out of all of them, so we'll see how that goes. Xion! Xion is the type of lovely lady to agree to marry you just to see the look on your face later on down the line when she tells you that you're a piece of shit and she wants absolutely nothing to do with you. Like, she will watch your heart shatter and revel in the feeling that that gives her. Timing is really, really important in this one, as a lot of the moves she has have a very similar aesthetic. Like, even though they look the same, they could go off at any minute, and the only thing you can do to be familiar with the timings is just replay the fight over and over again until you can do it with your eyes closed. She's got a really flashy moveset, and I would probably say that it's the second best looking fight out of all 13, primarily because of these. Now, these lasers are very cool, and as heavenly as they might look, they actually reduce the amount of HP that you've got. So if you get hit by enough of these bastards, it will take your health bar down to 1. So regardless of whether you have second chance or not, kind of like me in real life, one stroke will finish you off. I haven't really mentioned the music yet, but this fight in particular had the blood pumping and the emotions flowing. Don't get me wrong, every piece of music is an absolute weapon, but this one in particular, masterpiece, composed by only the highest quality of human being, with a little spot of Dearly Beloved thrown in there just for good measure. Although I'd tried managing 3 Keyblades and transformations throughout a couple of the other fights, I think this one is where it really clicked. Like, once the penny dropped, it actually made me want to go back and do all the other fights again just because of how easier, smoother, and more convenient it felt. Once you get the dual wheel with the Oblivion, not only do you do way more damage, you now have a finisher that's stored up just in case you need to cheesily iframe through some bullshit attacks. Her desperation move gave me crippling anxiety, even more so than what happened with young Xehanort. Luckily, I had just acquired the Ultimate Weapons Keyblade transformation, which meant that I had the Bloodhound step dodge and the long finisher animation, which I promptly activated in a little bit of a panicked state. I did manage to block some of the Jesus beams and got the luckiest cure of my life. Look at that. Look at that. What the fuck? Anyway, enough waffle from me. I could talk about this fight all day, to be honest. As the second to last boss faded out of existence, I thought I was about to win this, but boy, was I wrong. Master Xehanort, where do I even begin? Well, I guess I could begin with the fact that I spent 2.5 hours getting absolutely fiddled by this guy. Sora's asshole was so messed up, it actually started to transcend reality, and I ended up getting sympathy anus pain because Sora was in such a bad way. So this ended up being more of a memory thing than a reactionary thing. After 2 hours and 30 minutes, I wasn't even fighting Xehanort anymore. I was just battling my own brain and resisting the urge to go and get a job in a nursing home nearby just so I could kick old bald men for looking remotely like him. The white-hot hatred I have for this guy is so strong, it's ruined Back to the Future for me because every time I hear Christopher Lloyd's voice, I'm just going to be left with a terrifying thought lingering in my mind that this actually happened to me. Anyway, as I said, this became a memory game, so all I really had to do was remember the exact sequence of attacks that he did and how not to be obliterated by them, apart from one. His desperation move cannot even be called that. This isn't regular old desperation. This guy fights like he's trying to lift a Boeing 737 off of his children. Thank you to Keith the Truth in my chat for not only like 4 solid hours of mental support, but for giving me the genius idea that links exist. You see, not only do you heal when you use a link, you also
cannot die.
This means that while the old man deadlifts the plane, you and your furry little alien friend can just buzz around having the time of your lives. And as much as this made it way easier, I still had to make sure that I had my Kupo coin, which was easier said than done. When you come out of the link, you're going to have no HP, right? Which means you're one hit away from getting Norted harder than you've ever been Norted before. So I needed that revive. As time went on, I felt my hair turning silver and my eyes orange. I actually still, to this day, feel his withered old fingers around my neck as I fall asleep, only to dream about the trauma that he caused me. After what felt like 3 days and 5 inches of hairline later, I finally got him.
Come on, this has got to be it. Come on, please be it. Please be it.
And, I mean, I guess that does it. 13 data battles on critical mode for the very first try. I had a lot of fun doing this, and if you think that I was about to skip YOZORA, you are absolutely right. He's getting his own dedicated video though, so if you wanna see that, make sure to subscribe. As soon as the trauma has worn off, or at least subsided, I'm gonna go fight YOZORA, so keep an eye out for that. If you wholeheartedly disagree with anything I've said about any of these bosses, or I have offended you in any way with any of the jokes I've told, feel free to shut the fuck up in the comments below. Thank you for your time today, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Stick a like on the video if you can, it helps more than Kupo coins, mate. I will see you in a bit.